easiest method on how I cut and sew this palazzo trouser. It has 2 pleats at the front, a zipper flap, 2 side pockets, and I will be sharing the most detailed method on how you can take your measurements, the amount of fabric you need, the cutting and the sewing aspects. Greetings everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's get started. The first measurement is the thigh measurement, and this is how you should measure for before you measure your crotch depth. You ask your clients where they normally put their trouser, either on the high, mid or the low waist. You measure from a desired trouser point down to the flat surface. You measure the hip line measurement, then you go ahead to measure the round waist measurement, either the lower waist or the upper waist, depending on where your client wants to put their palazzo trouser. To measure for the length, to avoid a trouser point that is this short, you are going to ask your client to stand on their toes and you measure from the desired waist down to the ground level. For this project, I used 2 yards of light crepe material. It's by 60 in length. I've gone ahead to place this on fold. What I place on fold is my thigh measurement plus 4 inches. So next, I'll go ahead to trim out the rough edges on the top part of this material. Next, I'll go ahead to mark 1 inch inward on the side. I'll place my tape 2 inches upward, serving as the waistband intake, and I'll go ahead to mark out my hip line measurement, and I would also mark out my crotch depth. I'll go ahead to extend this line to the other end. This 1 inch mark, I'll go ahead to connect it to the hip line with a slanted line. You are connecting it to the hip line, not the crotch line. For the side of the palazzo, we will not be slanting it because it's a straight trouser, so just leave it straight like this. I'll place my tape 2 inches upwards and I'll measure my full length, and I will add 2 inches for the hemming allowance. After my 1 inch slant, I'll measure my waist measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to mark it out. To be able to get a straight line on my hip line, I'll measure the total of what I have on my waist point down on my hip line, and I'm going to connect it with a straight line. On my crotch line, I'll measure my crotch measurement divided by 2, and I'm going to add 2 inches to this. Because of the pleat on the waist, I'm going to extend my waist measurement outward by 2 inches. So I'll just mark it 2 inches here and also 2 inches on the hip line. Now go ahead to connect these points together to get a crotch curve. So I'll just go ahead to cut this out the way I have marked it. I will not be adding any sewing allowance, as all sewing allowance will be added to the back pattern. So I went ahead to place my front pattern on a folded fabric, which is for the back, and this pattern is wider and longer than my first pattern, so it's on fold as well for the back. So on the crotch line, I'm going to extend the crotch or the back part by 2 inches, and I'm going to mark it out like so and connect it to the crotch of the front part with a straight line like this. Next, I'll go to the hip line and I'll also come out by 2 inches, and I will also connect this together like this to that point. Now on the waistline, I will go up by 1.5 inches above the front waist, and I will mark this out like this, and I'll also go ahead to connect this together to the 1.5 inches upward mark. Next, I'm going to be connecting this to the side with a slanted line, as you see me do, like this. Now for the sides that you added 2 inches to the crotch, you are going to extend it that way straight away to the down. For the side pattern, you will not be adding anything to this part, so I will just go ahead to cut it out following my line, and I'm going to cut out exactly on the side. So when I'm done cutting, before I remove the front pattern, I'll go ahead to mark out the hip line on the back pattern before I can go ahead to remove the front pattern. Now because there's no pleat on the back pattern, I'm just having a dart on the back pattern, we are going to be reducing the back waist by 1 inch. So you just measure 1 inch, connect it to the hip line like this, and you are going to cut it out, making sure that it blends very well into the sides. To see the sewing aspect of this palazzo trouser, kindly follow the link in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and this is me just playing around. See you in my next tutorial. Bye.